Hey guys, it's Mike. This is a real short video. I just want to give you an update on. Hold on. Gotta look good for everybody. It's not really going to help. The lighting in this room right now is terrible. I've got the soft lights and stuff to make me look better. Doesn't help. I got the sun coming through this back window, and the lights I got aren't nearly powerful enough to override it. So you're going to have to deal with me looking all weird. Not that I look great to start with, but just deal with it. So, anybody, by the way, anybody that ever thinks that making these YouTube videos are just boom, easy, click up them, cut them out, it's not. So, I've had issues where I've forgotten to plug the mic in and had to deal with the onboard camera's mic working or not working very well, and I have had to throw videos away over that. I tried to make this earlier using the digital SLR camera, and again, if I had kept the video was terrible too, because the lighting made my hair look almost bluish, and my face, no matter what I did to adjust the white balance, I looked like a bad science experiment that fell into a vat of chemicals. It's just a bad time of day to be doing these types of videos. So I'm just going to use the onboard webcam here and just get to the point. So, short version. What I want to talk to you about is, what is it like after 1 week with my trusty Galaxy Note 7, which I still love this device. I just can't say enough good things about it. I made a couple videos in this first week. What it's like with a little over a week with my my Galaxy Gear S2 watch. And I'm going to talk real quick about my migration progress from Evernote over to OneNote. So let's start with the Galaxy Gear 7. Samsung Gear, nope. Oh man. Okay, let's talk about the Samsung Galaxy Note 7. All right. So I have so many more positive things than negative to say about this device. I'm going to go ahead and take it out of my my LED case. So, of it, I'm very, very happy with the performance of it. Still love the way it looks, the way it feels in my hand. Call quality is very, very clear. One exception, Wi-Fi calling seems to be a bit spotty, but I think that's got more to do with my cable provider than it does with the device or the technology. So I end up turning off Wi-Fi calling most of the time. Maybe when I'm international and that becomes a cheaper alternative, I'll consider it. I use the S Pen even more than I did on the Note 5, which that's always, ever since I switched to the Note, or ever since I started using the Note with the Note 3, and that was really a part-time device for me back then, I did find I was using the S Pen a lot more than I ever expected, and I'm at the point now that I'm not sure I could deal with a phone without it, because handwriting is very natural to me. So I do use it a lot, and it's great. Like if somebody wants to just give you a phone number or something, just write it down and move on. So I like that. Things that disappoint me with it. First, the onboard screen keyboard on the Note 7 that comes out of the box. And I'm surprised I haven't seen more people mentioning this. It is horrible. Its predictive analytics of what I'm trying to type is more often than not wrong. It's taken words I've typed correctly and misspelled them on its own. In the middle of a word, it's made it disappear. I've tried changing the settings. I've had really bad luck with it. So what I ended up doing was I found another third-party keyboard that solves most of the problems. And the only downside to that is I've got a theme that I apply on my phone that does not apply to this third-party keyboard. So it kind of cramps my style, man. It changes the way my phone looks, but it's temporary. I'm sure I'm not the only one with this problem, and I fully expect that Samsung will probably fix it at some point. That's my first disappointment, and it's minor because, again, I got to work around, right? Second one is this LED case in itself. First, I still love this thing. I love the functionality on the front, the fact that I can, on the case, swipe or reject a call without even opening it, and I can see who's calling based on icons that I can design to put on there. It's got a volume control on it. If you're using the Samsung Music Player, it just becomes sort of a graphical equalizer. And inside, I've got a little wallet here which it's not very big. I can hold 2, maybe 3 cards on it without stretching it beyond its limits. But still, if I'm just going out and I just need like a credit card and my driver's license, it's absolutely perfect, because I'll leave my house without my wallet, but I won't leave without my phone. Now, so what is there disappointing about this? Well, I've got the Samsung wireless charging pad. I've had that since the Note 5, and no, I didn't pay full price for it. I ended up getting it as one of those promotional gifts from Samsung. I wasn't going to pay $50 for it. It's cool, not that cool. And I'm also not going to pay. There's a new one that's out now that puts it at an angle, which is quite nice, but I'll spend on certain things, but I try to be frugal when I can, right? So the downside is when this phone is inside this case, I'm not sure why, and I'm still playing with it. Remember, I've only had this a week, but when I put the case with the phone in it on top of the wireless charging pad, it seems to be a little more positionally sensitive. I've got to get it exactly right over that circle there. 1 second. So this is the wireless charging pad, right? So it's almost got to be like exactly right, or it won't charge. And then I'm peeking open. Hey, is it? Because when you first put on, it does that animation thing. But even then, I've had it sitting there on top of this thing, and like I go out and it's not fully charged. So I don't know if it's charging slowly or if it just gives up after a while. I just seem to have better luck taking the phone out of the case and sitting on top of the charging pad, and that seems to work better. Now remember, I'm not sure what the technology uses for charging, but I'm wondering if it's conflicting with this case somehow. Not a big deal. I can take it out of the case, or I got the cable sitting right here because I'm typically transferring files to and from it, so I can just plug it into that. Not a big deal. Minor disappointment. Things to look out for if you decide to go with this technology. Don't say I didn't fully disclose everything. Still love the device. Still would recommend it. Still would recommend the case. Just watch out for that software keyboard and watch out for the charging. Next thing, a little over a week with my Galaxy Gear S2. Today is the last day that I am permitted to return this device, even paying the restocking fee. So this is the 14th day, and as of tomorrow, I unequivocally own this thing. So am I going to the store to take it back? Well, I thought about it. And if I was taking it back, it's only because Samsung's announcing a new product at the end of the month, and then figure 2 or 3 months before the carriers get it, and I could buy a new one. And I am still concerned that, in typical Samsung fashion, that the month after the new device comes out, they're going to forget the old one existed. But I'm really enjoying this. It's actually the best smartwatch I've owned so far. The disappointments I have remain. It still doesn't have a good app catalog. Nowhere near what Apple has in the Apple Watch, and not really as good as Android Wear. Again, not to reiterate too much, but there's things I don't like about Android Wear that kind of take that off the table for me, even though they've got a good app catalog. But the apps that are there work very well. For example, I've used the Uber app on here quite a bit. I did test if the Uber app works completely standalone. So basically, I shut off my Note 7. So he had nobody to talk to. I switched on, and actually it did it automatically. It switched on the cellular connection within this watch. Fired up the Uber app, and first thing it did was complain about location. So I was, okay, go through here, find location services, turn that on. Boom, comes up with a map. Do you want to be picked up? Yes. It got my address close enough. It's the house next door. But anyway, it picked me up. Entering destination was a little interesting, but I was able to get it done. Worst case, you just tell the Uber driver where you're going. And off I went. I did it completely standalone on the watch itself. I even got a phone call on it while I was out, and that worked brilliantly. I haven't tested every app, but of the ones I've tested so far, all of them have worked standalone without the phone, with the exception of the Nike app. And I'll be honest, I didn't really dive into that too much because I don't have any Nike fitness gear. But maps, phone, memos, everything seemed to work. Again, like I mentioned earlier, you're not going to get Facebook notifications and stuff because there's no Facebook app on here, and those come from the phone. But typically, if you're at a point where you're trying to go so bare bones that this is your only communication device, you're probably okay with missing your Facebook messages for the time being. So not a big deal. So I've decided that there's more value added to my life by owning this, enough to justify the expense of owning it. Now, if the Gear S3 comes out, I'll have to see what kind of functionality comes, and I'll second guess myself at that point as to whether I should have returned this or not. But for the most part, if I can use this for another year or two, I'll be perfectly fine with that. So this is a win after a little over a week. Oh, one other thing that did come up with this watch when I was playing with it yesterday, I was doing some tests with S-Voice. And by the way, I'm going to say this up front. S-Voice is not Siri. It's not Google Now. It's not as good. But it's a lot better than the Gear 2 that I was using for the last year and a half. That one didn't work at all. That was complete horseshit, honestly. This one here, it actually understands your voice. It takes patience. You can send a text message with it. You might have to touch the screen. Like if you have two friends named Mary, you may have to be a little discerning as to which one it sends it to. It's good with basic queries. One of the disappointments, I still can't add a reminder in it. Talk about massive oversight. Samsung, man, what were you thinking? If I got a watch, I want to set a reminder, right? But for the most part, S-Voice, it kind of works. Now, one of the things that came up while I was testing it, I had this on cellular, so it's running standalone, and I was probably giving 20 minutes worth of S-Voice queries just to see what I could and couldn't do, and if I could send an email, things like that. And then I got a message on the watch that says initiating, basically paraphrasing here, initiating thermal shutdown. It got too hot. The only thing that would let me do at that point was make a 911 call until it cooled down. Now, I'm going to call that an anomaly because that's the only time I've seen it. And to be fair, it was sitting on my wrist on a hot day with the cellular link or the cellular radio turned on, and I'm here chatting away with it. It's got to do all that background processing of my voice to text and all that. It hasn't happened again yet. I'll keep looking for it, and if it happens, I'll post it here. If you're thinking about buying one of these, wait for the S3. But if you're thinking about buying one of these, I wouldn't let that concern you too much. For the most part, it's a very good device. Hopefully, we'll get more ties and apps for this device that comes out. But even as it is right now, it adds enough value. It's worth me keeping. This is going to become a daily driver for me. The last topic I want to talk about, I made a video earlier about migrating from Evernote to OneNote, and you can review that video to find out my reasons. And I had looked at a couple different alternatives. The two big ones I was bouncing between, however, were Apple Notes and OneNote. And I settled on OneNote for the main reason that it also works on my PC and it also works on my Android device, whereas Apple Notes works great on all your Apple devices, but I've become much more of a cross-platform guy. And I'm even starting to migrate some of my other daily workflow over to the PC. I'm just working out what tools I'm going to use. So I switched to OneNote, which works on my Mac flawlessly. It works on my Android device, and it works on my iPhone, and it works on my iPad Pro, which is great. Now, here's why I'm saying that's great, and I'm loving this. On Evernote, all of my notes were typed or scanned documents, or I took a photo of a notebook, okay, which I could search the text in a notebook. That was pretty cool. But never once did I ever consider doing handwriting in Evernote, because the handwriting editor is garbage, really, in it. So one of the things I've noticed I'm doing a lot more now on, boy, that sun's coming in behind me. This lighting's going to be awful. Sorry, guys. So one of the things I'm doing a lot more now on OneNote is, and my iPad's upstairs, sorry. This is an Apple Pencil, okay? This thing is fantastic with OneNote. So I'm doing a lot more handwriting. Even my daily task list, I find my brain processes a lot better when I'm writing on paper, or in this case on my iPad Pro tablet. And the iPad Pro has just got such a huge screen. It's like writing on a full sheet of paper. This really makes it feel like you're writing on a full sheet of paper. I love it, and I can search my handwriting. There's no more writing in paper notebooks and taking photos. I'm going to be using this a lot in my consulting practice when I'm taking notes from customers. It's fantastic, and I can copy and paste between one page and another, and I can erase and undo. Everything's just great about it. So that's one positive thing about migrating to Evernote. And probably had I experimented with it earlier, I might have switched earlier, so thank you, Evernote, for your terms of service and your pricing change, which forced me to look at another product that actually works much better for my workflow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The other thing is on my Galaxy Note 7, this guy's got this S Pen, and that also works well with OneNote, so I'm very happy with that. I'm still, as far as migrating notes, I've had thousands and thousands of notes for probably at least 10 years in Evernote. I migrated over to daily use ones, and I migrated over a couple notebooks that I do a lot of searching on, like active customers, where I've got information in there that I want to go back and look at what I do for you a couple years ago, things like that. The rest of them are still kind of just sitting in Evernote. I'm still a premium customer till like October or something. I've still got them sitting in Evernote right now, and I'll eventually migrate them over as soon as I figure out how I want to do that. In Evernote, you've got notebooks and you've got tags, but essentially they're in one big file, right? OneNote, you don't have tags, but you have notebooks. Each notebook is a separate file, and you open them individually. Within the notebook, you've got tabs, and then within each tab, you have separate notes. So it's almost like another layer of organization. Now, even though you have different notebooks or in different files, you can still search across all of them, and you don't have to open them up on every device. Like, for example, I keep 2 notebooks open on my Android device. My one I call my notebook, which is really just a lot of archive notes I'm going to use on a frequent basis. And I've got another one called, I'm trying to remember what it's called actually, but it's basically my open activities, which I'm constantly editing and changing. And over time, as I close out projects, they go into my notebook. And then I've got different ones for different topics. So for the most part, it's working out really well. I'm happy with the switch to OneNote. I'm going to continue to use OneNote and learn more about it. Now, one of the things I had mentioned in my earlier video was you couldn't email notes into OneNote like you could with Evernote. That is incorrect. I had a viewer send me an email. Actually, it was a comment, and you could probably find it in the other video. Whereas there is an email address to send into OneNote. Now, the difference being with Evernote, you have an email address assigned to you. So anything you send to that email address will go into your notebook. With OneNote, it's, I can't remember what the name is, but there's one email address for everybody. And they kind of do things opposite, whereas Evernote gives you a email address assigned to you, OneNote has an email address assigned to everybody, but you have to go in and register what email addresses you're sending from, and then it'll go into Notebook. So kind of a different approach to the same problem. It works well. I tried it. I like it. I don't do a lot of emailing to myself, but it's an option. So if you took that away from my last video, erase that. It's not correct. And as I learn more, I'll continue to update you. So really, that's about all I wanted to talk about today. My weekend with the Note 7. By the way, if you notice the always-on display, that's kind of cool. It never shuts off. These AMOLED displays, they only turn on the pixels you're using, so that actually doesn't kill my battery nearly that much. And it's an edge display at night when I lay this on my dresser. This edge here turns into a little dim clock. Kind of cool. And the battery life is still much better than what was on my Note 5. Again, love this thing. So, win-win with this. Going to keep using it. Just remember what I said about the charging with the LED case. Also a good buy. Keeping the watch. Last day I can return it. I'm not going up to the mall. I'm too lazy. And I got a fantasy football draft in a half hour. Got the number 1 pick. I have no idea who I'm going to pick. I'm really bad at this. So I'm going to Google it before I go. And the OneNote migration. It's been a good week. At least from a technology side. Work side has been a bit stressful. If you want to get into consulting, man, if you like stress, great. You're often under the gun. So it's yes, I'll be honest. Yesterday I think I was about ready to kill somebody, but I calmed down, put it into perspective. I got my kids. Kids have a way of bringing everything into balance. That's it, guys. Until next time. Take care. If you like my videos, click like. If you want to subscribe, please subscribe for a couple reasons. One, I'd be really honored if you'd subscribe. I look at that, it makes me happy. At the same time, I'm going to be bringing some new content. I'm going to be bringing some fun content. I've got a video planned on, if you went back maybe about 2 weeks ago, I had gotten a bunch of new stuff in the mail and I opened it up, one of which was an Amazon Echo. and I've been using it, and there's been things I like about it, things I didn't like about it, and well, not that I didn't like about it, but I'll topic for another video. But I had this video planned for it, and I was really trying to get my daughter to participate because she's kind of interesting with this video. She's or with the Echo. She thinks it's really creepy that it's always listening to you. Like if you say Alexa, the thing just lights up. She goes, that means it's listening to everything I say, looking for something. She's like, it's creepy. It kind of is, but it's also convenient as hell. So I was going to try to get her into the video, and she's she wants no part of it. So if I can convince her, great. If not, I'll run without her. All right. So again, like the video or subscribe, or preferably both. And talk to you next time. Mike out.